So today we're going to be making this block. Isn't it cute? So this is the Shoofly block, not to be confused with the Churn Dash block, which I confused in one of my lessons from an old quilt video, so I apologize for that. This is the Shoofly, I promise. This block is super versatile, it's a lot of fun to make, and I can't wait to show you what we can do with this. This video and scrap block was inspired by this quilt from my lessons from an old quilt. You can see how the maker used a ton of different fabrics and different scraps to make this. Very few fabrics are repeated, and this is something you can do with this block too. And just to show you some different ideas for this block, you could do a 4th of July, like this one. You could do a Christmas one and even put a motif in the center like this. And I also made up a fall one like this. But today we're going to use the brights. And the reason I chose the bright colors is because recently I posted a community post asking all of you what colors you'd like to see, and bright colors won. So that's what we're doing. You all have the best ideas. I don't know that I would have made something like this had it not be for that poll. So here on your screen, you'll see a list of all the fabrics that you will need. This is a scrap block, so absolutely dig into your scraps, be creative, and have some fun with this one. Make sure to pause and take a screenshot or a picture or jot it down so you know what you need. All of this information will be available in the show notes below in the description. Make sure you stay to the end because I am going to show you a project that I'm working on using this block that's not scrappy, but uses a layer cake. I'll show you my process on that. So let's dig in and learn how to make this incredible block. The Shoofly block is really versatile, and it's basically a 9-patch with 4 half square triangles. Okay, that's all it is. If I take these and just cover these up, you'll see it's just a 9-patch. Look at that. It's a 9-patch. But putting in these half square triangles gives it a really unique look, and it also makes it even more versatile. Even if we change the way these are laid out, let me show you. Just like that. It changes the whole look of the block. Let's see, what else can we do? We can take and cover up this blue for a minute. And now you have a 2-color Shoofly block, which is, I think, the traditional way to do it. But who needs to be traditional, especially when you're trying to use up some scraps? You could also cover this one up, which gives it a different look too. You could put red here in the middle. Which gives it a whole nother look, and you could just play with color and have a whole lot of fun with this very basic block. So let's get started making it. Now the hardest part, and it's not even that hard, about making this block is making your half square triangles. Now I like to use the 2 at a time method. So I'm going to take my 2 blue, or 2 of fabric 1, and 2 of fabric 2. These are all 4-inch by 4-inch square. We're going to layer the fabrics together, opposites. So I have my blue and my red together, right sides together, and I'm going to do that to both of these. And I'm going to line them up really well. Next, I'm going to take some sort of tool or ruler. I like to use this one. And I'm going to line up my points. Make sure we can see this. Right here on the corner. And you know what? I'm going to flip this whole thing over because this is a little bit lighter and I think you can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to line up that middle line right on, so it runs through the points as best as possible. These aren't lined up real well. There we go. It's a little bit better. And I'm just going to line that up. Going to hold it in place and just draw. And I like to do these when they're layered. I think it gives it a little bit more stability. You could also put a piece of sandpaper underneath it if it tends to wiggle. So you can see I have 2 lines drawn. I'm going to do that to both of these. Here you go. And these are our sew lines. So I'm going to sew down both of these lines. And to do that, I like to nest them as they go through the machines, just like that. So I'll start sewing here, come down, and keep going with this line, cut them apart, turn them over and do the other side. Once I have them sewn, and I have them sewn here, I'm going to set those seams. I like to do this because I think it makes a better end product. You don't have to, but to me it's just a basic step and it goes a long way. You can see I got some water splashed there. Dry that off. Next we're going to cut between those lines. Now you don't have to be exactly accurate with this step as far as being in a 1/4 inch. You just need to have around a 1/4 inch and just cut down the middle. Those are 2 of them. And 2 more. So now we have all 4 of our half square triangles for our block. Now we're going to press these. So what I like to do is finger press, and I use my nail to get it started first, and then I'm going to take my iron and go on top. It doesn't matter which direction you press to. So this one I press to the blue because we are going to be opening our seams. Now I know that's weird because usually I don't open seams, but for these blocks I do. It does give a crisper finished product in my opinion. So I'm going to go through and do that to all of these. Press them like this first. Do not open that seam yet because we have a step we have to do between this and opening the seam. So hang in there. So now that I have my 4 half square triangles pressed, we are going to trim these down. And I like to use the block lock ruler. It has a ledge on it that fits right on this seam and locks into place just like that. Now these are a little pricey, so you can make your own with a regular ruler. I just put a couple layers of tape along that 45-degree line. I think it's a 45-degree line. Is that what it is? I think so. The 45-degree line, and that creates a ledge too. So I'm going to use this, and then I'll show you with the other one. And they're just about 3.5 inches, but not quite. So I like to trim them down. It gives me an accurate block. If I can get it to cut, I think I need to change my blade. All right. I'm going to turn this around. I need a new one of these mats. I have pen all over it and it doesn't seem to turn like it used to. I think it's time. I probably have had this, I don't know, 20 years or something. So I'm going to cut the other side. And you can see I get a perfect 3.5 inch half square triangle. So let's do one at this. Now this is a 4-inch ruler, so I'm going to have to be a little more creative with lining this up. Okay, so you can see that just locks right on like a ledge to that. I'm going to cut one side and then the other. Let me turn that, slide it down. Trim up my last 2 sides, and there you go. You have a 3.5 inch half square triangle. And I'm going to do that to all 4. So I have all 4 done. I'm going to clean up my space a bit here. And do you see all these little fuzzies all over? Okay, this is one of my favorite products. This is a little vacuum. I'll put a link in the description. It's awesome because you can get all those little pieces. Isn't that neat? It's nice. It's really cute. Love that thing. So now that we have these all ready to go, the right size, we are going to go in and open those seams. What I like to do is just take a little bit of water, spritz on there. Makes it a little bit easier to open. Open that seam and press. And just use my clapper. And that just gives me a nice open seam. That one didn't quite get right. Spritz it again. And that's just water. There's no sizing or anything in it. There we go. All right, I'm going to do that to all of these. So all of the half square triangles are pressed open, and we are ready to construct this block. So I'm going to put the blue to the outside. This yellow, if you can see, has a little stripe in it, so I want to make sure they're going in some consistent manner. So I'm going to make them so they all go inward or outward, depending on how you're looking at it. Down the middle. And like that. And that's our block. So now we're going to construct it like we would any other block. We're going to sew it in rows. So I'm going to put this block on a design board. And if you want a tutorial on how to make these design boards, Fallon from Soviet Quilts makes them. And she has a great tutorial on that. I'll link that below too. All right, I'm going to make sure everything's going the right way. I'll take this design board right to my machine. And what I'm going to do is sew rows together. So I'm going to sew this row together, and this row together. And I'm going to press towards the yellow fabric. If I do that, all of the rows are going to nest nicely and we'll have a beautiful block. So I went ahead and sewed 3 rows together, got them ready. You can see I pressed towards the yellow. Look at how pretty, it's turning out so nice. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do is put the top row on top of the middle row. And you can see that these nest together. So one goes one direction, one goes the other. And I will put a pin in this because you know me, I'm a pinner. And I'll pin it this way. I know a lot of people pin this way, perpendicular, but I like to pin with it. I think it's because it's the way I learned, and you know, old habits are hard to break. I also think I get a more accurate seam doing it this way. Just like that. Now I know, lots of people pin it the other way, and for the longest time in my videos, I'd show it the other way. So I'm gonna sew along here. When that's sewed, I'm gonna press towards the middle, and then I'm going to sew this one on the same way, and we will end up with a 9.5 inch block. Look at how pretty. Let me show you the back. Everything's nice and neat. Oh, it's so beautiful. As promised, the project I'm working on uses Moda's William Morris fabric. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty and so cool. The first thing I did with this layer cake is separate it into lights, mediums, and darks. And I did that simply by pulling out the light fabrics, medium fabrics, and dark fabrics. However, sometimes your eye tricks you. So I take a black and white photo as I go to make sure that the values, the light, medium, dark values are correct and my eyes aren't seeing it wrong. Once I did this, I could cut it up and lay out my block. I wanted this to have a very scrappy feel, so I am mixing up the different colors and the different tones, but in each block, just like this one, we're gonna have a light, medium, and dark. And that's just gonna give a really cohesive look to this. I only have a few blocks done, you can see them here, but aren't they awesome? So much fun. So you can absolutely take a layer cake and do this with it. I hope you had a good time making this block. It was so much fun. Please let me know if you have any further questions about this block, comments, anything else. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you have a great day. I hope you take some time to sew, and I'll see you real soon.